Hello, students. In a democracy like ours, we're all given certain rights. But have you ever wondered, what good are these rights if someone can just take them away? Well, today, we're going to talk about one very special right that acts like a guardian for all the others, making sure our freedoms are always safe and sound.
But before we dive in, let's think about this for a moment. What would you do if someone stopped you from entering a public park simply because of who you are? Or imagine if a person was arrested without being given any reason at all. What happens then? Who do you turn to for help?
You see, having our rights written down in the Constitution is a wonderful thing. But at the end of the day, they are just words on a page if there's no way to make sure those promises are actually kept. It's like having a guarantee for a product, but there's no shop to take it to when it breaks. It's useless.
Thankfully, the Constitution of India doesn't just give us promises, it gives us a way to enforce them. It gives every single citizen 6 fundamental rights. You can think of these as very special guarantees given to all of us.
Here they are: the right to equality, the right to freedom, the right against exploitation, the right to freedom of religion, and cultural and educational rights. And finally, we have the one we are focusing on today, the right to constitutional remedies. This last one, well, this is the key that unlocks and protects all the others.
So what makes this right so special? Here's the most interesting part. It's a fundamental right in itself. Its only job is to make sure that all the other fundamental rights are effective, that they are real. Without it, the others are just ideas. With it, they become guarantees that can be enforced.
In fact, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the main architect of our Constitution, understood this so well. He called this specific right the heart and soul of our Constitution. Think about that for a second. The heart and soul. He believed it was the most important right of all because it gives every citizen the power to go directly to a court and demand justice if any of their other rights are violated.
So, how does this actually work in the real world? How can an ordinary citizen use this right to get justice? Let's take a look at the mechanism that gives power to our courts to protect us.
The process is actually quite direct. First, of course, a fundamental right has to be violated. When that happens, a citizen doesn't need to go to the local courts first. They have the special power to go directly to the High Court of their state, or even all the way to the Supreme Court of India. The courts then have the authority to issue orders to the government or anyone else involved to make things right. Now, these special orders from the court aren't just ordinary letters. They are very powerful legal instruments, and they have a special name. They're called writs. This is the main tool that our judges use to protect our fundamental rights.
Let's be very clear about what a writ is. A writ is a formal, written order from a court. It is directed at the government, or an official, or some other authority. And remember, only the high courts and the Supreme Court have the power to issue these writs to protect our fundamental rights.
So, what can these writs actually do? Let's break it down in simple terms. A writ of habeas corpus can order the police to bring an arrested person before the court to make sure they haven't been locked up illegally. Mandamus tells the government official to do the job they are supposed to do. Prohibition can stop a lower court from handling a case it doesn't have the power to. And quo warranto can be used to ask, by what authority do you hold this public office? As you can see, they are very powerful tools for justice.
Okay, this all sounds great, but it brings up a very important question, doesn't it? Going to court can be expensive, and it can be complicated. So what about the poor, or people who are not educated, or those who live in very remote areas? How does our system make sure that justice is available to everyone?
Well, our democracy has found some very clever ways to answer this problem by making the courts more accessible. 2 very important ideas help with this, something called public interest litigation and the National Human Rights Commission. First, let's understand public interest litigation, or PIL as it's commonly known. This is a real game changer. It means that if you see someone else's rights being violated, or if an issue is affecting the public as a whole, you can go to court on their behalf. You don't have to be the direct victim. Any concerned citizen can file a PIL.
The power of a PIL is huge. It can be used to protect the environment, to fight for the rights of factory workers, or even to challenge a government policy that seems unfair. And to make it truly accessible for everyone, the courts have even allowed a PIL to be filed by just writing a simple letter or, get this, a postcard to a judge. If the issue is serious, the court will look into it.
Now, apart from the courts, there is another important organization that acts as a watchdog for our rights. This is the National Human Rights Commission, or NHRC. It was set up by a law passed in 1993. The NHRC is an independent commission, which means it is not controlled by the government. Its main job is to investigate complaints of human rights violations. It can also look into cases where a government official was careless and failed to prevent such a violation. Now, it can't punish anyone like a court can, but it makes very important recommendations to the government, and its reports carry a lot of moral weight.
So let's bring all of this together. Why do all these things, the courts, the writs, pills, and the NHRC, why do they matter so much? Well, it's all about turning the promises of our democracy into a real everyday practice.
Think about it. Without these tools, our rights would just be words on paper, a simple promise that could be easily ignored. But with these systems in place, our rights become real. They become enforceable guarantees that are actively protected by our courts. This is the big difference between a right that is just an idea and a right that is a reality for everyone. So, the most important thing to remember from our discussion today is this. The right to constitutional remedies is the one fundamental right that breathes life into all the others. It is the key that unlocks the door to justice for every single citizen.
And that brings me to a final thought for you to take away. Now that you know about this powerful right, this ability to hold anyone, even the government, accountable, how does it change your understanding of what it means to be a citizen in a democracy like India? It's something worth thinking about. Thank you.